Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and today we're going to start a new series, and this is a new series that was suggested to me by one of my patrons over on patreon.com. A great idea, and I thought that if we do this moving forward, you guys can contribute. If you have any questions, requests, things that you want to know that aren't music related, you let me know in that comment section below, and I'm happy to talk about anything that seems appropriate. So I'll talk about hobbies, you know, travel, food, friends, whatever it happens to be. If there's anything that you're interested in, you let me know, because this time it's personal. So today, in the first episode, we are going to talk about Hellcat Molly. The question was, what's happening with Hellcat Molly? Okay, cool. So for those unfamiliar, Hellcat Molly is my band. It's really kind of like a pseudonym for me as a composer. I never felt comfortable with the idea of releasing music under Levi Clay, though I have done it. Hellcat Molly always felt more comfortable. I always liked guys that were in bands more so than solo artists. Growing up, I was into, you know, Van Halen rather than Steve Vai. I was into Paul Gilbert because of Mr. Big or Racer X rather than Joe Satriani. You know, I liked bands, I liked songs, I liked singers, I liked the whole attitude of being in a band. So when I was living in London, I started a musical project with my friend David. We wrote some bits and pieces together, and that turned into Hellcat Molly. We would play around London quite a bit. We went a little bit outside of London, but ultimately the business side of things kind of ruined everything for us. And also, it was my thing. It was my baby. I was writing most of the music and organising everything, like managing that side of things. So for everyone else in the band, it was their side projects. They all had their things, and this was the thing they did for me, kind of thing. So, you know, as we got older and became busier, more professional working musicians, they had less time for that. So that, combined with getting screwed over by promoters constantly, meant that we kind of were doing less gigs. I moved away from that band, or that group of people, and then 4 years later maybe, I really had the urge to write music again. So I started writing, and I was looking actually at the idea of having a female-fronted rock/metal band, and that is something that I did pursue. The song Break, which went on the Hellcat Molly album, originally when I wrote that, I had sent that out to a couple of ladies that I had met, with the potential of them fronting a kind of rock project, which I thought would be a lot of fun at the time, actually. And ultimately what happened was I went to my drummer's wedding and I saw Dave there, and I mentioned that I was writing some music, and he was really interested and said that he would love to listen to it and maybe work on it with me. So eventually we would meet up a few times. He would help me refine a couple of the songs, and then I would use that as a kind of confidence booster to write vocals and vocal melodies and lyrics and stuff to finish off the things that I'd already written. And Hellcat Molly's Out of the Ashes came from that. Now, we crowdfunded that. We spent quite a lot of money from the crowdfunding on that, on production, you know, paying the right people for, you know, engineering and mixing and mastering, and then manufacturing and merchandise and all of that stuff. Fortunately, it didn't lose any money. But it didn't make any money in the grand scheme of things. You know, maybe a few £100, nothing to write home about. But that was fine, because it got to the point where I realised that as a musician, sometimes you need to write music. Sometimes you need to express yourself. Sometimes you need to get stuff that's inside of you out and tell people. And yeah, I constantly encourage people to check out Hellcat Molly in the link below, because all of the songs there are very personal songs. It's material that people will probably, if they've been in similar life situations, they may be able to relate to. Anyway, so it has been a while since I've done anything with Hellcat Molly, and that's mainly because, well, my interests are constantly shifting. When I started Hellcat Molly, I was 20, maybe 21. I'm now 30. I'm a lot older. I have a lot more life experience. I'm not as angry and rebellious as I was when I was 21. I don't want to go out and, you know, stand in the spotlight and kick doors down and just make a scene. And I know that sounds ridiculous to anyone that's watched my YouTube channel, but there's so much effort involved in that. There are so many other things that I'm really interested in. I went through obviously a long period of being really into country music and really into blues and jazz, and you know, all of these sounds, all of these influences, they changed me and made me want to do different things. And I've recorded the odd country song There's some fusion material that I've got recorded. I just didn't really know what I wanted to release musically, and the last thing I ever wanted to do was to release your typical instrumental guitar player's album where, oh, there's the novelty country song, there's the novelty jazz song, just so they can show that they can do these things. I only ever want to create something that's like a consistent piece of art. And yeah, doing that never made sense. So I'm looking for a sound, I'm looking for a musical identity. I am composing though again, and I may end up calling it Hellcat Molly, who knows. I'm playing a lot of stuff in drop C, I am playing around with 7-string, and I'm playing around with 8-string stuff because I'm really interested in groove and just things that make you want to bang your head and move, less instrumental, less soloing, more tight grooves type thing. As I say, we will see what happens with that. I may call it Hellcat Molly, I may not. It's very difficult for me to not use that name because Hellcat Molly is a name that I identify with. Hellcat Molly as a band haven't played together now in maybe 4 or 5 years. Time flies. It's just crazy how much people change, and we live so far away from each other now. Doug and Dave are still in London, Lee is in Leamington, I'm up here in Glasgow. There's so much distance between us, and Dave is an extremely busy working musician as a singer and as a guitar player. He's constantly working. Doug is a very successful guitar teacher. He's a very high position at the rhythm studio. He teaches ridiculous hours. Lee lives in Leamington and has 2 kids now, and I mean, kids, they just get in the way of everything, right? And of course I'm all the way up here, and I'm extremely busy myself with everything that I have to do, so it's very difficult to find time to do those things. We had talked about potentially doing some gigs last month, and that was purely because it was our 9-year anniversary, which is a bit silly. Who does an anniversary gig on your 9-year anniversary? Hellcat Molly, that's who. Maybe something will happen at the 10-year point. I don't know. But Lee has talked to me about doing some drums on some songs. I'm constantly talking about working with Mike, of Guitar Souls fame and Party Cannon. Also, Kieran Kamak, he did the drums for the Guitar Souls thing, so maybe there's options to work with Kieran. He's a great singer as well, so is Mike. So there are lots of options. It's really just about finding the time in life. I have so many compositions on the go, and when I search through Studio One and look at those recordings I've done, some of them haven't been opened in like 6 months. And, you know, it feels like it was just last week, but time just keeps marching on. So yeah, if anything's going to happen with Hellcat Molly, it's going to require me pulling my finger out and actually doing something. But I really enjoy making YouTube videos, to be honest. I feel that I reach a similar amount of people, and it feels more rewarding than going out and playing gigs in half-full venues where no one's really interested, and then you have your fans, but really you feel that there's a slight pressure on them, like, oh, we're playing, you know, oh, better go down and support Hellcat Molly kind of thing. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm just getting too old for that. Anyway, so yeah, that is the story of Hellcat Molly. This time it's personal. Who knows? Maybe this time it's personal is a great name for a second album. If you do check us out on Bandcamp in the link below, you'll find 2 albums. You'll find the Hellcat Molly Out of the Ashes album. You will also find an instrumental version of the Hellcat Molly album where I've replaced all of the vocals with lead guitar. I released that under the Levi Clay name and just called it Into the Whiskey. So Out of the Ashes and Into the Whiskey, check those out. I am still very proud of them. I think they sound fantastic, and that's in large part due to Jeremy Kroll doing such a great job on mixing them. So big thanks to Jeremy, of course. He's like, he's the secret 5th member of Hellcat Molly. He did a great job with that stuff. And yeah, if that floats your boat, then do let me know. Finally, I should just say a huge thank you to these people over here. These are some of my supporters over on patreon.com. I'm going to say the usual, like, they're not actually there. I'm looking over there. That's my library. But you can see them. So thank you very much for your support, guys. You do keep these videos coming to people. So yeah, if you would like to be like those people and join us over on patreon.com, you can do so for as little as $1. $1. And you can find us by clicking this button up here. You can subscribe by clicking this button down here. And you will see 2 more of my videos here and here. Why don't I make them Hellcat Molly videos just so you can see what we are all about? Yeah, so much love, guys. Thank you so much for all the support, and I will see you for another video soon. Laters.